Make them suffer.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please.
Councilor Peterson,
Here.
Councilor Geisler.
Here.
Councilor Jelly,
Here.
Councilor LeBlanc,
Here.
Mayor Boucher.
Announcements. Any councilors have announcements? I have one as the 21st of the month will be Mary Murphy Day at the House of Representatives in St. Paul. They're honoring her with that. We are not able to have anyone there to represent the city due to our city council meeting that evening. Also, we talked at the beginning of the meeting about possibly moving an agenda item up forward. We are not going to do that. We'll just stick with the timing that we have. No public hearings. Communications are on file. Mr. Mulder, could you give us a few short words about the presentations that were at pre-agenda?
Yeah, we talked about a number of items and I'll go through those fairly quickly. First, Eric talked a little bit about accessory dwelling units and just kind of identified like what are some of the issues that various cities have dealt with and then how they have dealt with them. General direction from the city council was to kind of start proceeding with some kind of draft of how we might allow those and regulate those. So we will start that process and have something back to the council in the near future. Paul Sentz gave an update on water testing. The city of Duluth has provided water testing services forever. But as of May 1st, that's going to discontinue. We'll have to do water testing for in Hermantown on our own, and we are contracting with Pace Analytics to review those results of the water collected. Eric gave just a brief update on a FEMA floodplain ordinance. So we'd approved a floodplain ordinance last month. In our conversations with the DNR, they pointed out that they had made a reference to one of the planes or one of the maps, and it was the wrong reference. So we're just going to correct that administratively. I talked briefly about THC licensing. We currently have, back in 2019, we permitted a medical dispensary under the state law at that point in time. There was 2 allowed in each congressional district. There had been one in Hibbing. There's now one there. So then one opened up in Hermantown. So there's been some discussion about the adult recreational use and retail sales and how those two might interact. And so we talked about the idea is, does one mean one, or is it medical dispensary and adult recreational use retail place? And we've talked about the possibility of that we would just combine that and it would leave it at just potentially the medical dispensary would also be the adult recreational use retail outlet as well. And with the idea that the council always has the ability to relax those rules in the future. Eric Johnson talked about trail amenities. We are planning on doing some amenities along the existing trail, what would include some garbage cans, park benches, things like that. We have had people interested in donating to that. So we just talked a little bit with the city council about what that might look like. Eric will draft up some guidelines for your consideration at a later date. Water infrastructure surcharge. The city of Duluth is having to come up with $30 million to upgrade their plant and under order from the Environmental Protection Agency. So they're passing on some of those infrastructure repair costs to all of the users, including the city of Hermantown, city of Proctor, and city of Rice Lake. Previously, the city council had approved a flat fee of $7.50 per month per meter. We went back and looked at that and make sure how that compared with the city of Duluth. We had a further discussion with the Utility Commission. Consensus of the Utility Commission and the City Council was that we should proceed with that flat $7.50 per month. So those were the 6 presentations that we had under our pre-agenda meeting.
Thank you. Take a breath now. Now we have time for public discussion. We have different areas of public discussion this evening. This time ahead of us right now is for items not on the agenda tonight. We will have public discussion for each item on the agenda during the consideration of that item or when we broach that item on the agenda. But if anyone wishes to speak to us about general public discussion, please step forward to the podium and start with your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Pam Benson. My address is 5146 Cedar Ridge Drive, Hermantown, Minnesota. I come to talk to you. My husband and I have been residents of Hermantown for 35 years. His extended family have been residents of Hermantown. Three of his extended family were the first recipients of the Jackson Project homes. So we have a long history of family and roots here in this area. And what I come to ask is that you support the trail and the benches, the memorial benches, because we definitely would like to do that. Right? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? Please start with your name and address.
Shannon Tansky, 5249 West Arrowhead Road in Hermantown. So I've come to just throw my support for the ADUs. I understand that it's been a bit of a conversation, didn't realize it was a bit of a conversation because we have a need to do that. And so my parents built a house here 50 years ago. I have a house here, been a lifelong Hermantown resident for those who don't know me. And so as the aging population in Hermantown, we've discussed this for 10 years with various friends, family that have had builders. You walk a mile where my house is and I can name you 8 to 10 people that they're at the age where they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. They can't afford this. They're original Hermantown people. And we know that probably the new people coming into Hermantown are maybe a different demographic, but the original Hermantown people, you know, they're your blue collar people. And so I wanted to build a little, I kept calling it casita, but it's an ADU in the back in order to take care of my property and be within walking distance. They're 2 doors away from my parents. So it would solve that problem until they can't be in their house and then they could be in there and we could take care of them as a family. So it just would solve an immediate problem. And the other issue is I know you're looking through all the ordinances. My house and my parents' house is in a trust. So even though we've been there our entire lives, we built those houses, we live there, it's in a trust. So technically it's not homesteaded. So I think you've got some unique situations. So I just would really, really encourage you, please, because there's a lot of them. The Grusendorfs, the Bangs, the Whites, the Bennetts, the Hansons just moved out. I mean, they're all right there. And talking to all the kids are all of our age. We all want to stay in Hermantown. We all want to take care of our parents. We're trying to figure out how to do it. And we want to keep our parents either in their house or on their property or in a familiar neighborhood. Because if we start moving them somewhere else and they're driving, it's unfamiliar territory. They've been here their entire life. It's just muscle memory driving. It's way safer. So I just think there's a lot more to consider than just, you know, you always go to worst case scenario, which I get, I understand, but there's an immediate need right now. So I'd really encourage you to find some way to pass this ordinance because we're probably 3 years behind on this. For me, I need to get this done this year if possible. And I don't want to be knocking down garages. And I mean, I don't know how else to do it because my Hermantown house is the one that makes revenue to pay for my parents to even stay in their house. So that's my situation. I know I'm not the only situation. So I just wanted to share that. And whenever it comes on the official agenda, if you can let me know, I'd love to be part of that conversation because that's not on official agenda tonight, correct? Okay.
It's not anywhere on any agenda, but it will be first going to planning and zoning for
Okay.
their consideration.
Yeah, so just, I mean, there's a handful of us, and I mean, Wayne, you've been here forever too, and there's just some unique situations that I just wanted to bring to light, that's all. And like, I have an immediate need, so don't really want to put a camper on my property. So, all right, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, for the benefit of people who walked in late, this is general public discussion about items that are not on the agenda. We will have time for public discussion about agenda items as they come up. If anyone wishes to speak to the council about general public discussion, please step forward to the podium and start with your name and address. Okay, we'll have a last opportunity for general public discussion at this time. Hearing none, we'll move on to motions. Motion to approve or deny the following tobacco license application effective April 18th, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, contingent upon complete application being received, successful background checks and license fees being paid in full. Dollar General, 4678 Vox Road. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. I guess we could have public input. Any public input on this? Does anyone from the public wish to address the tobacco license to Dollar General? Is there any public input on the motion in front of the council for a tobacco license? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is appointment of Jim Sweeney to the Utility Commission. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Counselor Jelly, who's liaison to utilities, and I interviewed Mr. Sweeney this afternoon, and I think both of us recommend his appointment. Is there any discussion amongst council? Hearing none, is there any public input on this motion? Any public input on the appointment of Jim Sweeney to the Utility Commission? Do we have any public input on the Utility Commission appointment? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is the consent agenda. Minutes, approval or correction of the March 17th, 2025 City Council continuation minutes, and accounts payable approved general city warrants from March 15th, 2025 through March 31st, 2025 in the amount of $1,035,010.20. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next, we have the first reading of ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 definitions. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Johnson explain this?
Yes, please.
Mr. Johnson, would you explain the first reading?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Before us is a ordinance amendment to Chapter 2 definitions to add the communication services to that actual definitions. So since the city's inception, our zoning code and especially our comprehensive plan have been rather straightforward and had limited basically information districts, et cetera, that way. As the city's been going through our comprehensive plan process, as well as discussions from the staff level and also with our consultant, we realize that there'll be some changes to our zoning ordinance coming up as we keep on proceeding through this. What we like to do is look at different, basically trending industries, different things that are going to happen, things that just weren't envisioned 20, 30, 40 years ago. So this is the first one before us, adding the communication services to the definitions of our actual ordinance. Furthermore, this would be then looked at in individual zoning districts at a different date.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this ordinance change? We will not be voting on it this evening, and any public input could be used to make changes in the final ordinance. Any public input on the first reading of ordinance 2025-10? Is there any public input on the ordinance amending Chapter 2 definitions? And we'll move on to ordinance 2025-11, an ordinance amending Chapter 5 land use regulations. We've been advised by administration and staff that there needs to be some severe language changes made to this ordinance before it's brought to council, and we've been asked to return this ordinance to administration for rewording and reinsertion on the agenda at a later date. Do we have a motion for that from council?
I'll move to return to administration.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor LeBlanc. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next is ordinance, first reading of ordinance 2025-12, an ordinance amending Title II of the Hermantown City Code by amending the official zoning map. This is the first reading again. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Johnson go over this?
Yes, please.
Mr. Johnson.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and council members. As I had mentioned previously, the city is finalizing our comprehensive plan. And as part of that comprehensive plan process, we've looked quite a bit in the southwest corner of the city, basically that Highway 2 corridor and basically west of Midway Road. We've looked at that as far as the presence of rail and public utilities, as well as basically roadway infrastructure associated with it. And in the comprehensive plan, we're identifying this portion of the city be guided towards light industrial or business light manufacturing type of use. So we're taking the first step and looking at properties that are essentially controlled right now by public utilities. There are 14 parcels that are owned by either Elite Power or Renfield Land Development. Those are associated with the power station that is down in the cities right now. So what we're looking at and proposing this evening, along with concurrence from those two agencies, is to rezone these properties from S1 to BLM. This is more suited towards that type of use that they're currently utilizing the property for, basically the power transmission. So we're looking to make this change to our land use plan.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on the first reading of this ordinance? It could happen that public input could change the wording of the final ordinance and be considered. If anyone wishes to comment, please step forward to the podium and start with your name and address. Any public input on ordinance 2025-12 for the first reading? Any public input on the first reading of an ordinance amending Title II of the Hermantown City Code by amending the official zoning map? With no public comment, we will move on to resolutions. The highlight of the evening is Resolution 2025-58, resolution designating April 8th, 2025 as Steve Overham Day in Hermantown. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. This gives us the opportunity to recognize our long-term city attorney who started with the city before we were a city. I would like to read the resolution into the record. Whereas Steve Overham has served the city of Hermantown, its residents, and the greater community for more than 4 decades, and whereas his dedication, leadership, steady guiding hand, and care for the past, present, and future of Hermantown has always been present, and whereas Steve Overham's legal expertise combined with his genuine care for Hermantown has helped guide incredible community growth, both in the commercial and residential sectors. Whereas it is truly not possible to measure the depth and breadth of the positive impact Steve Overham has had in Hermantown, often without fanfare, attention, or much credit. And whereas after almost 50 years of devoted service, Steve Overham will be fully retiring from his role at the city of Hermantown. And whereas the city of Hermantown is vastly improved because of and deeply grateful to for Steve Overham's efforts and actions taken on behalf of our community. And whereas the City Council of Hermantown wishes to recognize and honor Steve for his service and special contributions. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Hermantown, Minnesota, that April 8th, 2025 shall be designated Steve Overham Day in the city of Hermantown. And be it further resolved that all citizens are encouraged to celebrate and recognize the contributions of Steve Overham in making Hermantown a world-class hometown. And we're going to have a vote on this, and we can have public input too. In just a moment, sir. Any questions or comments from council? Any public input on this? Mr. Overham, this would be your chance. Please step forward to the podium, please. And then,
So mom told me that transition would occur over time, and it just took a lot of time to get to this point. But, you know, so here's what happens. This is kind of a moment that just happened with me. Last Thursday, I was supposed to be at a HEDA meeting. I had 2 grandkids coming up that I had to take care of because my wife was gone. My daughter wasn't going to be around. I had to take care of these 2 monsters, a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. And you know what? We watched Princess Bride, the movie, and I cooked for them. We had Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. But better than that with chocolate milk in it instead of regular milk, okay? But having said that, I was happier there. I love doing deals, okay? I've always loved doing deals. But I talked, you know, about all those things that you guys have going on. And it would just make me, I'd love to do that. But I like doing what I did last Thursday better. So I appreciate all the, you know, the nice words and stuff like that. But I'm ready to not be at evening meetings anymore. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I've loved doing everything I've done for Hermantown. I'm still working with the Hermantown Legacy Fund to try to raise money to try to do stuff. So thank you so much.
thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you for everything you've done.
Now we have to give another opportunity for public input before we can vote on it. So if there's anybody that doesn't agree with this, please step up.
Look at the rush.
Okay, last opportunity for public input. Roll.
Well, I just have a question, you know, whenever we would, be at a meeting, we would tell Steve, it's like, well, I can't do that tomorrow. I've got vacation. He would look at me like, well, what's vacation? So, I mean, in light of that, I'm just wondering, do city employees get tomorrow off? Just kidding.
We get Saturday off. Okay. And I'd like to thank Steve for, he's bowing out now. He's leaving me as the longest tenured person connected to the city, so. But I may be calling you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Now we're going to present you with it.
We should, somebody,
We have
Joe.
somebody with a
take a
camera?
picture.
So we should take a picture of Joe taking a picture.
All right.
Maybe.
Thanks, Steve.
Look at that. We could have moved to the
And
resolution at the end of
Steve
the
has
meeting.
promised to stay through the end of the meeting, so he's reminded eternally of what he will be missing.
Awesome.
Next, we're going to move on to Resolution 2025-59, a resolution authorizing and directing mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver agreement for the use of the city of Hermantown athletic fields with Hermantown Youth Baseball. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Wickland
Sure.
address this?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is yet another use agreement, but again, the changes we've made have been related to the new enhancements at Fickner Park, specifically at Centricity Park at Fickner Fields, our new turf surface. So this outlines how Hermantown Youth Baseball will use that, the responsibilities they have in caring for it, the things that they'll do in the concession stand where they've taken a big leadership role. So very exciting changes, and they're excited to have a different type of partnership with the city on it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? If anyone from the public wishes to comment, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address. Is there any public input on the resolution authorizing the agreement for the use of the Hermantown athletic fields with Hermantown Youth Baseball? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson? Aye. Counselor Geisler?
Aye.
Counselor Jelly?
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Aye.
Mayor Boucher?
Aye. Next is Resolution 2025-60, resolution approving preliminary planned unit development with KTJ 360 LLC for the Hermantown Cottages development. Do we have a motion relating to this?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Johnson
Yes,
address
yes,
this?
please.
Eric?
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. This is a property located essentially adjacent to City Hall over at 4110 Levake Road. It's an existing 10-acre parcel that was developed back in 2020, 2021 for the Pillars of Hermantown, which is an existing 103-unit senior building. So the property is currently and continues to be owned by the applicant. And what they're looking at is a second phase of this project now, looking to propose 10 twin homes, basically 20 units total, on the periphery of the site as it abuts Levake Road as well as Maple Grove Road. What these units are two-bedroom units, approximately 1,400 square feet in size. That's not inclusive of the 400 square foot garage or any exterior patios that they have. As you go into the site right now, access is taken from both Maple Grove as well as Levake Road. What the applicant is proposing is creating a new interior driveway that connects to those two touchdown points, interior of that site, which would contain a 22-foot wide private drive that would service these proposed homes that way. Parking would be handled either in the driveways or associated with the two-car garage, which each one of the units. The one piece of public infrastructure that would happen would be the city utilities. There would be city sewer and city water, basically built and provided by the developer, which would then be turned over to the city, similar to what has happened on the Pillars project as well. There'd be a 30-foot easement on top of that, so the city is able to maintain those utilities should they need to in the future. The stormwater associated with this development is going to be utilized with the existing stormwater pond that they have. The applicant's engineer is looking to expand the size of that stormwater pond to account for any new impervious surface that's created as part of this development. As I had mentioned, these properties are approximately 1,400 square foot in size. These are rental products that are geared towards people that essentially are not currently living at the Pillars but could be living at the Pillars. They have the abilities to take services from the Pillars building, as well as use all the different amenities associated with that building. What the applicant is looking to do as part of their site work is to create, or is to keep as much existing tree cover on the perimeter as possible. And where trees are removed, they're looking to infill with some new plantings to provide screening as best they can, that currently as they see today. So these units are going to be approximately 25 feet in height. The materials will be very similar to existing pillars building, so it essentially would look like one continual type of property or development that way. What they're also proposing is an internal sidewalk system that not only connects these units, but also connects it to the pillars building as well. Lastly, as part of the 2020 project, there was a traffic study that was done. At that time, it was approximately, once again, a 103-unit building. It was 20 small lot, single-family homes, as well as 2 quad units. So this project is coming in a little bit smaller than that. What staff did is reviewed that traffic memo again, interpolated some numbers out of that. So they're looking to create approximately 14 new AM trips and 19 PM trips. What they basically traffic engineers look at are AM and PM peak hours associated with it. And they're looking at approximately about 180 new trips to that would be generated by these 20 twin homes, 20 units total. Should this receive a favorable vote at tonight's council, the next step would be for the applicant to move on to the final PUD process. At that point, there would be a new application made. It would also go back to planning and zoning for a public hearing, and then ultimately back to city council for their review and action at that point.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the council?
I just have one comment. We talked about it a little bit at pre-agenda, but knowing that this is preliminary and we're moving to, there'll be another round of approvals for the final PUD. I'm just wondering if the developer can somehow, part of the PUD is going to be a public benefit, and we've talked about that those pickleball courts would be open for any members of the community, and is just to develop a protocol of how anybody that might not live there use those pickleball courts. Is there a means of a sign up, or do you reserve them, or what have you? So just if you could, as you move this forward in the final PUD, maybe talk to them about that, to how the public can engage and use those so that there's some clear direction.
Great, staff will do so, and the applicant's representative is here this evening as well to hear these comments.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Will you guys humor me for a second?
We'll give you longer than that.
I think I've spent plenty of time railing against projects like this. I just kind of want to expand on my thoughts behind this. I know I've expressed this to city staff on multiple occasions. I pretty much said I would be voting no for anything west of Stedman Road that's not on Maple Grove Road, Highway 2, or Highway 53. Those are county roads maintained by other bodies that are already developed enough to handle increased traffic. So I will be voting yes for this one tonight.
Anything else from council? Is there any public input on this motion? If anyone wishes to comment, please step forward to the podium and start with your name and address.
My name is Matt Budarak. I live at 4089 Levake Road. When the pillars was originally built, there was quite a bit of conversation about both the location of the original building and the density, the housing density in there. Eventually, they moved the building to the back corner of the lot instead of right on the corner of Levake and Hermantown, or Lake and Maple Grove. And they got rid of these single family homes and the quad homes. And that finally got by eventually. And now we're back with adding more density and adding things right back on Maple Grove and Levake Road. The issue I see is you're talking about a setback of 20 feet from the county road, both on Levake and Maple Grove. And that's not a whole lot of setback for the house sitting 20 feet from the right of way. And you're talking about screening. Well, that only leaves at best 20 feet of screening from those houses, those duplexes to the road. And I just don't feel that that's something we should be doing in Hermantown. If you look at most of the rest of Maple Grove Road, if you look at the residential development the apartment buildings and the assisted livings and stuff down further down towards all, they're set back a lot further than that. The houses out here are set back further than that. And I just don't think 20 feet from the right of way is, I understand they're trying to maximize what they can do there, and that's what they're trying to do. I don't know that we need to approve that. If they want to set back houses, they should either stay at the setback that's supposedly for the R3 zoning, or remove those houses, something. The comprehensive plan has that area identified as being corridor residential, like it is. There's no plan at this point. I couldn't find any numbers for what the setbacks would be there, but I bet they're not going to be 20 feet from the right of way. Those are the two big concerns I have at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. I just start with your name and address.
Same address, 4089
Okay.
Road. At the zoning committee, I did bring up the fact that the traffic has heightened since the 2020 times. And as I mentioned before, I cannot say it's the pillars, but I really feel that there should be a fresh study. As I referenced myself before, I am the pinata lady that's tried to get her mail. I've almost been rear-ended many times going into my driveway. I mean, I'm getting the horns constantly, and it's like, there's gotta be, I mean, and anybody that lives right around here on this corner, anybody can tell you from a personal standpoint, the traffic numbers have increased. I don't know why, but they have. And then you're adding more congestion. And the other thing is, I think, again, they are putting way too many people into one little area. And scale it back, get it back up, into there where you don't have to be looking at it. Because when I look out my door, I'm seeing this. And I just feel like development, yes, is good for all. But what about the residents that have been here for many, many years? I mean, are we second-class citizens now? And I think there needs to be a balance. You really need to look at how do you basket weave growth and development with current residents? And then I know they said that they were going to make them the facade similar to what the pillars is. I think that's it's harsh. It screams at you, that color. It needs to be more of a neutral, warm color. So that it doesn't, when you're driving, it's not catching your eyes constantly. We have enough near misses on that corner as it is right now. I mean, it's almost a daily event, hearing the horns and the screaming and, crazy stuff. But I really hope that you really think about not only the future growth, but look back at who's living. I mean, it needs to blend. It can't be, I pretty soon I left downtown Duluth because of this, because there was more rental, because there was more retail. And pretty soon, one little residential house amongst all of this, it just doesn't balance well. So I hope people really do think about this. Is this what you want in your backyard or front yard? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Public input on resolution 2025-60. Step forward to the podium and start with your name and address.
Hi, my name is Eric Martin, 8402 Goldenrod Lane North, Maple Grove, Minnesota. I'm here on behalf of Opidin Investment Company, owner of the KTJ 430 and appreciate the time. We are excited about this proposed development and the opportunity it gives us to serve the residents at the Pillars and the future residents. From a public benefit standpoint, it's our belief that the addition and approval of this project adds a unique living option that is currently not available today within the Hermantown market. It adds the ability to move into a single family like home experience with minimal maintenance, with access to the amenities. But for folks who aren't quite ready for a more apartment style living, it provides a lower barrier of entry. We believe this supports the Hermantown Comprehensive Plan to add new and diverse housing options. Additionally, as community members have the ability or the option to transition from their legacy homes to these new cottages, additional single-family homes will become available, continuing to support Hermantown's substantial growth. And I just wanted to come up and introduce myself to put a name and a face to the project and just be available if there's any questions that I can answer.
Thank you. Is there any other public input on this resolution? We'll have the last call for public input on resolution 2025-60. Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Nay. Move on to resolution 2025-61. Resolution requesting advance funding for the city of Hermantown from municipal state aid funds for SP 202-101-014 and SP 202-104-012 in the amount of $800,000. Do we have a motion for this?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder, would we have Mr. Balf explain this or?
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this resolution before you is for the advancement of some state aid dollars associated with our Ugsted Road federal aid project. So we had a similar resolution last year, and what we learned is the funding that we applied for last year had a sunset. It expires at the end of the year. We were not able to finalize and close out the project last calendar year. So we have another resolution to advance some dollars here of $800,000 to pay our state aid account back. And this resolution is necessary for the project closeout, both the state and federal documents that myself and the consultant are working on.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-61? Any public input on the resolution advancing state aid funds in the amount of $800,000? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-62, resolution approving change order numbers 19 and 20, KA change order number 6 for the North Star Ford Arena in the amount of $223,106.09. Do we have a motion relating to this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder.
So there are two change orders that's been reviewed by the advisory committee. One of them is to provide some additional rough-ins for enhanced lighting and the audiovisual equipment for the new arena and lobby. Then the second one was for some additional work in the existing arena for kind of a conference room that will overlook the existing arena. There'll be some remodeling, a window will be put in, so they'll redo that. And this was within the budget. It does reduce our contingency, but the Arena Legacy Fund has said that for the audiovisual equipment, they would backstop the payment if for some reason we did not have contingency left over.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Just as a point of clarification, that Mr. Mulder hit on it, but just for the public input that are understanding that this amount, it's a significant amount, but it is, as Mr. Mulder said, within the contingency and it's for added scope within the project. So we've added some additional work, therefore it costs more money. So that's all.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Questions? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on the resolution approving change orders number 19 and 20 for the North Star Ford Arena? Any public input on resolution 2025-62? Hearing none, I'd ask for a roll call.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-63, resolution approving pay request number 10 for the North Star Ford Arena to Kraus Anderson Construction Company in the amount of $2,093,908.17. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor LeBlanc. Mr. Mulder?
This is for the work that's been done through March 31st.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Just a comment from me that it was reported that the project is still on budget and on schedule.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-63? Is there any public input on the resolution approving pay request number 10 for the North Star Ford Arena to Kraus Anderson? Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is item number 13, closed session. We don't have one of those this evening. So we'll move on to 14. Do we have a motion to recess?
Motion to recess.
Motion by Counselor Geisler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.